welcome to your Daily 5 for Tuesday, June 10th, 2025. You may remember that not all that long ago, I reviewed 1991's Black Cat, a Hong Kong action film starring an actress named Jade Leung. I'm probably mispronouncing that. Which was centered around an individual, a woman who escapes from a incarceration facility of some kind, is shot, taken in by the government, and implanted with a microchip that allows her to become their top government operative. And it's a movie that I had a great time with, and I knew had a sequel, and I intended to watch. I started to watch it and stopped it about 20 minutes in, not because it was bad, but because I realized that this was not a movie that I was going to experience myself. And so Lando and I actually ended up watching this movie together for our Friday tandem movie review, or whatever we're going to call that. But I wanted to do my own review of it because, of course, Lando did not see the first film. I did. And when I looked at the sequel's reviews, just to kind of skim them and see what people generally thought, I noticed that there was an interesting divide where some people thought the first film was better and some people thought the second film was better. And now, having watched it, I understand why. Because I didn't read any of the details of it. I didn't want to, give anything away. I just wanted to go into it cold. But the first film, even though it is about a woman who has a military microchip implanted into her brain, it is a relatively grounded character study of this individual and the fact that she's obviously a very troubled person and how she is trying to figure out how she's going to operate now that she's been reconstructed into this government assassin. That's really what the first film is. The second film throws all the character stuff out the window, assuming you already know all you need to know about Black Cat, and decides to just be an over-the-top espionage, spy, assassin thriller where the character is now at times not like Superman flying, but basically flying through the air, firing a gigantic Desert Eagle at people and blowing things up and kicking people and, smashing people through windows of planes and cars and everything else. And it's really just trying to be a bombastic, over-the-top action thriller. And so I think that's where the divide is. If what you're in the mood for is a more kind of relatively grounded character film about this Black Cat character and who she is and what she's going through, that's the first film. If you just want to see lots of people shooting at each other, jumping through the air, smashing windows, blowing things up, yelling, running with no shirts on, after cars, guys just coming out of hay bales, firing machine guns that are going pew, 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 even though they tend to look like normal machine guns, that's Black Cat 2. And that's the second film. So it just depends what you're in the mood for. So I don't think either movie I could objectively say is a better film, but they are different films. And it's interesting how much of a tonal shift, I guess it's not massive, but it is clear that the first movie had different goals than the second movie. And I think they both work. I think as long as Lando did not see Black Cat 1, so I'll be interested what his take on it is. But there are flashbacks in Black Cat 2 that give you just enough that you know the basics of who this character is. You're not going to not know what's going on. There are a couple of flashback sequences. It is explained that this character has a microchip implanted after breaking out of jail, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's all there. They don't just assume you know everything and don't ever bother to explain who the character is. But they also don't really revisit much of the kind of trauma and everything else that she went through, except in these very small moments, which honestly are so quick and throwaway that I don't know that they really serve much of anything, but, regardless. But it is a blast. It's a very fun film, and one that I will probably revisit more than the first one. Not because I don't think the first one is good, but the first one is, again, it is more of a character study as much as it can be, whereas this second one, really, within 10 minutes, it's making it clear that it's just about having a fun time, including a moment that was so out there. In terms of, I made a joke in the commentary about something I wanted to happen, and then it happened. I won't give it away. We'll talk about it on Friday when we do the spoilers. But I was making a joke, and then the movie did exactly what the joke was. And so that, I think, is at that point I was like, this is great, and I knew it wasn't taking itself as seriously as the first film. And I don't say that as a criticism. I say it actually as a compliment. So Black Cat 2, a fantastic sequel to a movie that I actually really enjoyed, but definitely something different. So just be aware of that when you go into it later.